Here I'm going to be showing you how to do an isometric movement path from one 90-90 to the other, or from one side to the next. Now when you're doing an isometric movement path, the idea is you maintain a pretty high effort in terms of the tension you're creating when you make the transition. So when we're going from this 90-90 where my left leg is my lead leg, right leg is a trail leg, it's going to be very important that you really focus on your support. If this is something that you're having difficulty with, you're going to want to use your hands by simply having your hands behind you. And that's going to allow you to focus on not having to maintain posture through your torso as much and focus more on the tension you're maintaining and creating in the hips, right? And so just to go over that technique, we are going to take the hands, put them behind us, and now you're going to point your chest towards this trail knee, okay? Now from here, you're going to open up this trail knee or hip, and you're going to find a blocking point where if you go any further, you're going to want to let that left leg come up. Now, you're going to make sure that once you find this roadblock, you're going to take a second to try and pry your hips open a little more while maintaining this lead leg down. When you've found your true end range where you're really pushing apart and you can't go any further, that's when you continue the motion. But as you do that, then you allow that lead leg to follow along. But notice that as I'm making this transition, I am completely on tension. My hands are supporting me because I don't want to worry about my torso, but I am still focusing on keeping my knees apart. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to delay this left leg from crossing the midline as long as possible. So as I transition over, my right leg is going to come down, but as this opens up and I can get more space to push down, I'm going to delay this as long as I can. But once my right knee is down, my left leg or left knee is going to follow, and I'm in the next 90-90. Now if I wanted to, I can do this with no hands. This is going to be a lot more difficult. So you can take your hands, put them in front of you. This is actually going to help you. The closer your hands are to your body, the more difficult it's going to be, because the hands serve as a counterbalance, right? So the mass of my arms is helping me lean forward. So when I transition, I can actually stay a little more stable. But if I keep my hands closer to my body, I have to fight a lot harder to keep my chest forward as I make this transition. So it depends how much assistance you want to give yourself or how much support. But I want to make a quick note of something. When you do this isometric movement path, you want to make sure that you focus on the tension that you're creating through the hips, okay? So I want to encourage you to use your hands, because too often people try and skip a step. They try and do, hands up in the air, and then they are too prioritized on maintaining their posture. Instead, give yourself the support, because remember, it's a movement path for the hips. We're trying to focus on the hips. Set yourself up to allow yourself to do that. And the way you do that is by giving yourself that support and using your hands. Okay? So use it, help yourself out. And that's how you do an isometric movement path from one 90-90 to the next.